Good day everyone, welcome back to today's video. In today's video we're going to be building a standard HTML web page using all that we have learned so far. So the first thing we're going to do is to get rid of what we did in the last video so we can have a fresh page. So you can set any title you want. Then save and refresh. So now we'll start with a header for our website. So in that header you can put the name of your website or organization. So okay. So just like in the last video, we'll create a nav. Then this nav, we'll start by creating our links. So we'll have home, about us, services, and just contact us. You can just add in something like pricing. So let's refresh this, and now we have our links listed out here. So now the next thing we're going to do is to use the main tag. So now I'm moving into creating the main section of our website. So now we use the section tag to create the first section of our website. Now this first section can be an introduction section. So we can have like a h1 tag that says welcome to the Zera technologies. Now all the text we'll be writing here, you can change them into whatever you want. Okay, so now we have this. Then you can have a subtext, like a subtitle that says #1 tech or the leading tech company in Nigeria. You can save this, and we have our first section. Then in our next section we can now start our about us. So just like before, we use the h1 tag, then about us. So after this, I want us to have an image in the about us section. So you can go and you can type in on splash about us images. Now on splash you can get free images that you can use on your websites. So let's just get one that will fit our need. So you can select anyone you want. So let me just make it more specific to me. Okay, you can use this, but just like I said, you can use any images you want. You can save it as about us or any name you want. So I'll go back, and if you remember, we create images using the img tag, but now I want to wrap this image in a div tag. So img, then about us, and the alt can be about us image. So now why I'm using the div in this is, if we're using CSS now to style this website, it will be easier to select this div to resize this image and manipulate the image inside. So that's the main reason why I use the div. So let's see how the image will look. Okay, now we'll have to resize this. So we use the width set to 100. Okay, so we can increase that a bit. Let's just put it at 700. Okay, now the value you put here will be determinant on the image you download. So just keep increasing or decreasing the width until you get something that you know looks nice for you. So after this, we create another div and have our main paragraph text. Now before this, let's have the paragraph text here that says get to know more about us. So just something under the about us. So now here you can just put in dummy text using the lorem. You can type in 100 to make it more robust. And now we have our about section done. Now the next section we'll be creating is the services section. So just like before, create a h1, then services, then paragraph, services we offer. So now we have this here. Let's create a section can have something like this. Let's save this. Now what I'll do is to have different images that say different images with text beneath it. So you can go back and get images that suit you. So I can download this now for web development. So just any section that any services you want to offer, you can just get some corresponding images that will suit it. Okay, so you can get this now for, let's say, server management. So now I can use those three images to create three different sections. So the first, let's put this into a separate div tag. then have web dev. Save this and refresh, and we'll need to resize the image. Okay, have the first section, then let's copy this 3 times to have mobile development and server maintenance. Mobile, then server. So on your own, you can add as many sections that you want or need. So let's refresh this, and now we have the images loaded well. So we can increase this a bit. Okay, so now we can add some dummy text beneath them. So you yourself can, if you want this to be some real text, you can just type in the text that is associated to the services you put. Okay, let's make this more robust. Okay, so now after all this, the next section we'll be creating is the pricing section. Now for the pricing section, we'll use a table. H1 pricing. Look at pricing quotations. Let's save this, and okay, we have this. Then let's create a div or a section. Okay, since this is already inside the section, you can just use the div tag. Then create a table. Now if you remember how to create a table from the last video, you can pause this and look at how we did it. So if you couldn't do it, just follow along. First of all, create the T head, which is table head, then T body, which is table body. First of all, we'll create a new table row, then use the TH, which is table header, to create the headers of our columns. So you can just type in what you need here and add as many columns as you may want. So now in the table body, you can create new table rows. So if you don't remember, the TD tag stands for table data. So price, you can put 10,000, then features, just do some dummy text. Let's refresh this and make sure we've created something correctly. Okay, let's reduce this text a bit. Okay, so I can copy and paste this. So basic, enter, edit. Okay, so now we have all this listed. Now it may not look good now, but when we get to our CSS section and we start learning CSS, we'll be able to build something more visually appealing. So now we've added our table for the pricing section. The next and last section we'll be adding, okay, not the last but second to the last, will be the contact us form. So as always, create a new section and h1 contact us. Just add a paragraph and that says any inquiries, please contact us and we will be in touch in 2 to 3 business days. Okay, so let's save this, refresh. Now when building a website, it's always good to save and check what you've done very frequently, so that if you have or create a bug, you'll most likely know where it happened. So let's create a new div and now we'll start setting up our form. Now first of all, let's create a new div that says, that has the inputs, and here we'll have, let's name this full name. Let's also set this in the ID and also have a placeholder that says full name. And we'll have a second input in that same div that says email, and we can just copy this and paste into here. And let's save this and see how it looks. So now we have this full name and email. Now let's create a new div and we have an input that says let's put subject. Okay, instead of using an input, we can just use a select drop down. So subject and ID. So we can just create the options that we need. General inquiry, web development, mobile development, and the last one I put there was server maintenance. So now this list doesn't have to contain the names of services you put. You can just put in any things you want for subjects, but better still, you could just use an input tag just like this. And just have one more that says others. So now let's have one more, a default option that just says choose a subject. So let's save this and see how far. Okay, so now we have this, choose a subject. So let's add a line break so we have a space between the first and second row. Okay, now let's create a new div and we use the text area elements. So we can name this message ID message and placeholder your message. Let's save this, and this is the text area we have. Let's also add a line break so we'll have some space. So now this is the text area. Now the text area, we can resize it by adding some default columns. So we can make this 30 and rows. Let's also see 30. Okay, let's make this 10. Okay, so we can increase this a bit so we can have it to be more wide. Okay, so now we have our text area which can be resized as much as the user needs. So now our form is almost ready, and the last thing we need to add is the submit button, which the user can actually click to submit this form. So you can just create it. You can either use the input type of submit, then you add a value, or you can just use a button with the type submit and still just type in whatever I put in the value here, and it will give you the same results. So now that we have our form ready, it's always good to add validation, because ideally we want this user to only send this form when they are filled in all these options. So now to do that, we use the required attributes. Now required attributes tells our browser that this input must be submitted only when they are filled. So if we refresh this and hit send, you can see it's saying please fill out this field. I can just say my name, then click send again. It says please fill out this field, but notice something. You will see that if I don't make this a valid email, we'll get the validation which says please include @ in the mail address. So, and that is because we use the type email. Now if this was the type of text and I refresh this and fill this in, if I hit send, you see that the form actually submitted because the type was set to text, so it takes in any text that is provided. So let's set that back to email, and let's add the required field to the remaining of this inputs. So required, all you just need to do is just type in the attributes required on the elements you want. If you don't want your subject to be required, you can just remove it, but I'll leave it there. So let's refresh and go through the form submitting. So full name, you type in a full name. Email, you type in an email that is valid, and you can see that error is gone. So subject, because this value is empty, because the value of choose a subject is empty, we are getting this error that says please select an item in the list. So if I click this, you will see that we no longer get that error, but if I choose this again, we get that error. So the last and final one is the message. This is hello there. So now when we submit this form, you see that the form got submitted successfully. So now the last section we'll be creating is the footer section. Now the footer section will be outside this main, since it's not in the main body of our web page. So now for the footer, you can just put in anything you want, and I already have a suggestion here. So you can just put in your business name. Save this and save the footer. So now we have it here. So even though this is depreciated, we can still use the center tag to center this in the web page. Okay, so let's add some line breaks so this is a bit more out of the rest of the page. Can also add this under. Okay, so now our footer is done. Last thing we can do to this to make it a bit more appealing is to add some horizontal rules, which would tell users using this website or viewing this website where each section ends or begins. So we can add a horizontal rule here. Okay, can just copy and paste it into all the section endings. Save this and refresh. Now we can see all our horizontal rules at the end of each section. So this is it for our HTML part of this trading. I hope you enjoyed this, and congratulations for making it to the end of this section. And in the CSS section, we're going to be looking at a lot and seeing how we can create very beautiful websites using CSS, how we can style them very nicely and also make them responsive so they look good on both desktop and mobile devices. So last thing I want to show you is how to make comments in your code. Now let's say you are not the only one building websites and you have other developers on your team and you want everybody to know what each section does or whatever. You can add comments by holding down Control on Windows, then typing in /. So you hold down Control and type /. You get a comment like this. You can say this is the header section. So this isn't mostly useful in HTML, because especially when we're writing semantic HTML, because the headers tell everyone who looks at it what it does. But it's more useful in programming languages, but you can still add it to your web pages. If you refresh this, you will see that this comment doesn't show up in our web page because it's commented. If I uncomment it and save, you will see that it shows up. Yeah. So that's how to create a comment. You can add as many comments to each section as you want. And yeah, that's it for this video. See you next week, and from there we'll start CSS, and at the end we'll still create a project like this, but this time using CSS to create something actually visually appealing. So congratulations and goodbye for now.